أجمعين والصلاة والسلام على خاتم الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. أما بعد فأوصيكم ونفسي بتقوى الله فإنه حبل متين وعروة وثقى. صلوات. Dear brothers and sisters in Iman, first of all I advise myself for taqwa, parhezgari and piety, and then I advise all of you for the same. As you know, we had started a discussion about the tragedy of Karbala because we were in the months of Muharram and Safar, and I wanted to go through a more kind of details-based narration of this tragedy of Karbala. But every time I tried, these khutbas of Jum'ah really don't give you that much time where you can get into all those details, and when you get into those details, the khutbah becomes very long and lengthy. But anyhow, we managed so far, and we had reached to the Shab-e Ashur, meaning we had last Friday we had reached to the point where Imam alayhi salatu wassalam had asked his brother Abul Fadl al-Abbas to go and ask Umar Saad to postpone this aggression or this war up to tomorrow, and this is not the right time to go into the war. And also Imam alayhi salatu wasalam said one thing which is known as one-liner when he was speaking to Hazrat Abbas, that if you go and ask them for one night, so at least this one last night of our life, when we know this is for sure the last night, then at least we can spend this whole night wholeheartedly in ibadat. We want to pray nawafil, we want to recite Quran, we want to do munajat, we want to do this devotion to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which was basically a daily practice of Imam and his companions. But since last few days, these were very hectic days, very difficult and hard days in those few days, so maybe Imam alayhi salatu wassalam feels that at least he gets one full night to focus just on ibadat and nothing else. And this shows again the love of ibadat in Ahlul Bayt. Ahlul Bayt alayhimu salatu wassalam, their first choice, if we look at their life, two things what we see are the outstanding in the lives of Ahlul Bayt. One is service to Allah, and the next one is service to makhluk. service to humanity, service to people, first service to Khalik, second service to Makhluk. These are the two things where our Imams and Ahlul Bayt would really focus on. And if they had nothing else to do, they would just spend all their time either praising Allah, glorifying Allah, reciting Quran, doing nawafil, doing prayers, and then getting out to help the people and to help the community and help the society and see what they can do for the people. They didn't have any third agenda in their life. So keeping that, Imam alayhi salatu wasalam wanted at least one more night where he can fully devote to ibadat. So as we discussed last time, Umar Asad agreed to it, and when the forces of enemies went back, Imam alayhi salatu wasalam and people in his camp, now they know that this is the final night. Our historians have written that almost Imam had divided this night into three parts. The first one part, of course, was spent with family and friends. Imam alayhi salatu wasalam knew that these women, these children, they need some advice, they need some counsel. Imam needs to sit with them, and Imam needs to prepare them for what is going to come from tomorrow afternoon or tomorrow evening. Imam won't be around, none of these men will be around, women will be at their own, children will be at their own. It's going to be a big massacre, it's going to be a big tragedy, something which these women have never seen and never experienced in their life, and these children. So Imam needs to sit with them, prepare them for that tragedy, prepare them for what is going to come tomorrow and later in few days and few nights. So Imam alayhi salatu wasalam and those other companions who had their families with themselves, they spent that first portion of night with their families. And Imam alayhi salatu wasalam also, as we know, again we don't have time, but he advised the ladies that never ever lose the patience, take it head on. We are going in a to serve and protect the religion of Allah. It's a matter of honor for us. So never feel sense of humiliation, never feel sense of defeat. We are victorious, and never feel again for yourself that you will be lost. Allahu hamikum wa nasirukum, and Allah will never leave you alone. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will help you and will take care of you, and Allah will be with you. And so my sisters, so my daughters, so my wives, don't mourn in a way which is not appropriate for a believer woman. So be kind of composed and take it in a graceful manner. Those kind of advices Imam alayhi salatu wasalam gave to the ladies, children, everyone. And then of course the other portion was which Imam tried to prepare now his companions and his friends for tomorrow. So as we know, Imam alayhi salatu wasalam sat down where he asked all of his companions to come and sit with him. Imam alayhi salatu wasalam praised Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then Imam alayhi salatu wasalam sent salatu salam to his Jad, the Prophet, and Ahlul Bayt alayhimu salatu wasalam. Imam alayhi salatu wasalam made a comment that none of the people in the history had these kind of friends which Allah had given me. You are the most faithful and the loyal friends whichever anybody has got in the human history. I am proud of you, and may Allah bless you. Imam make dua for them. And then Imam told them that these people, meaning Umar Saad or Ibn Ziyad or Yazid, they are after me only. They have no business with you folks. And tomorrow if they will find me here, they will not search for you if you are not here. So I lift my bayat from you, and I give you the permission that leave me alone here, and you can just go and go back to home or anywhere you feel safe. Imam saw that no one is responding to this call, and people are looking at him. Then Imam said, take this darkness of night as a ride for you, and no one is looking, no one is maybe aware, and this is dark night, leave me alone, go. And then Imam said, if you don't feel comfortable going like this, go and take one member of my Ahlul Bayt from my family and then go, and then you have a genuine excuse that you came actually to rescue these members of Ahlul Bayt. You would not leave, but you left Karbala to just bring this one member of Ahlul Bayt out of Karbala. Imam created a kind of a very graceful excuse for them. And Imam saw that nobody is leaving. Then according to some narrations, Imam, the lamp which was lit and there was some light, Imam put that lamp off. Imam said, maybe because I am looking at you and I am watching you and you don't want to leave while I am looking at you, so now here there is no light. I'm not looking at you. So it's dark night, and stand up and just go wherever you want to go. So after a while, Imam alayhi salatu wasalam again put the lamp on, but before that people had started saying something. Some of them started crying because of the emotions. They say the first one who spoke to Imam alayhi salatu wasalam was Abul Fazl al-Abbas. He stood up and he said, Mawla, what are you asking us? Meaning, you want us to leave you alone here and just be concerned about our own life? How much and how long we will live in this dunya? How long? How much? And so that we buy this disgrace of leaving you alone here and abandoning you and just going away? No. We don't want to do that. We will live and die just with you, and we are here to protect you and stand proudly with you. After Abul Fazl al-Abbas, a few other members from Ahlul Bayt also, one after another, they started saying the same thing. And then Ashab, the companions of Imam alayhi salatu wasalam, and again this is a big story, and if I want to explain that, the whole khutbah will just go in that. So everyone, or at least some of those seniors, leaders, they stood up and they expressed their support for Imam. And when everyone did that, Imam alayhi salatu wasalam again praised them. Imam then prayed for them, and according to again very common and famous narrations, Imam alayhi salatu wasalam then showed them their houses in paradise. Imam showed them, these are your places and these are your homes in paradise because you have passed the test, and because you are still committed and you have passed the test. Now this is your reward with Allah. So then after that, everyone is in their tent, and Imam alayhi salatu wasalam and his companions and everyone was engaged in nawafil, in prayers, in du'as, in munajat, and in the recitation of Quran. A few people had duty to prepare some weaponry for tomorrow, because before war they were used to normally sharpen their swords, their spears, they would straighten their arrows, whatever they were used to do to defend themselves for the fight. So there was a tent and there were some people with those skills or with that background, and they were working on that. A few companions were appointed to patrol around, do patrolling, and to make sure that still this enemy doesn't come back on night and doesn't attack. So they were kind of guards and guarding the tents. So this is the activity at that night, and here comes Fajr. Imam alayhi salatu wasalam had a particular man who was muazzin of Imam. He was used to call adhan for Imam. Whenever the time of prayer would come, I think his name was Masruq. So he was normally calling adhan. Now we have two narrations. One, the same muazzin, he was called and he called the adhan. And more famous narration is that on that particular Fajr, Ali Akbar was called to call adhan. Because time to time Ali Akbar and these other youth would also call azan occasionally, but Imam had a particular muazzin. So either it is Masruq or it is Ali Akbar, and he called the adhan. So this adhan, the last azan of Ali Akbar, which has now become a kind of what you call a history and historic, a kind of iconic thing for us, that in some of our communities people gather in the Imam Bargahs and in Masajid at the time of Fajr, and then a young man stands up and he calls the azan of Ali Akbar, and there is a brief majlis remembering that adhan of Ali Akbar, and see that this is the man young man which Imam says he is the most resembling man with the Prophet, khalqan wa khulqan wa mantiqan. So he is a man that he is the most resembling with the Prophet, not only in his features but even in his character. He is the most resembling with the Prophet, a very pious young man. He calls azan. After that azan is the prayer of Fajr. After Fajr prayer, there are some taqibat, and this is a community of worshippers. This is a community of those people who have spent their lives in doing their wajibat and mustahabbat and taqibat. These were the people known for all these things, and now they know this is their last chance and the last day. So they are doing their best in everything. After the salat is done, Imam alayhi salatu wasalam is now mindful of about what is going to happen today. So the first thing what he does, he goes out and he points out that behind these tents and around these tents, on three sides of tents, the tents of Ahlul Bayt and tents of Ashab were brought kind of closer on that night, the last night. Now these tents are very much close to one another. So Imam said, behind these tents and around these tents, two sides, dig a small kind of ditch, a khandak. Dig that ditch and then go and collect these bushes and whatever you can find, these small sticks and small bushes to put in that ditch, and then put some fire on that. So the purpose was that there is a fire behind and around the tents, and enemy cannot come from that side. Enemy cannot attack. Enemy has only one way to come and attack, which is front. Because you have small number of people, you can only guard your tents only from one side, you don't have that many soldiers where you can appoint them from all around and you can protect your tents from all around. So that was the first thing in the beginning after Salatul Fajr, that Imam is making these arrangements to protect the tents and the people in tent, and making sure the attack comes only from front and not from the sides. Then after that, sun was risen, and when sun was risen, it was early in the morning. They say that the enemy, which was Umar Saad and his commanders, they brought their army and their horses and whatever they had in the battlefield. And in order to scare them, because they were very few in number, they tried to organize their army, the right wing, the left wing, the middle one. Then they were trying to kind of run around and try to kind of create some scare. Imam alayhi salatu wasalam, while he had only those few people, but Imam, instead of just keep sitting and hand in hand, Imam said, we will also organize our army in the same way. We will have the right wing, we will have the left wing, we will have the alamdar, we will have all these arrangements just as, meaning as a formal army and a formal war. And Imam alayhi salatu wasalam basically teaching us that even if sometime you are short of resources or you don't have that much help and support, don't just give up. Don't just give up or don't just give in and lose the hope and say, because I cannot fight, so I will just surrender myself. Never ever surrender. And you try to defend yourself and your honor and dignity and your people, even if you are alone, in a very courageous manner. Imam alayhi salatu wasalam divided his army, and on his right wing, Imam alayhi salatu wasalam appointed Zuhair bin Qayn. On left wing, he appointed the leader of the left wing, Habib ibn Mudahir. And then he called his brother, Abul Fazl al-Abbas, and he handed over to him his alam, his standard, and he made him the alamdar of that army. After organizing this and putting everything in order, then Imam alayhi salatu wasalam, he engaged in dua. Imam made a dua and doing his dard-e-dil with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and telling him that, my Lord, meaning you are the only one to whom I always come back whenever I am in distress, whenever I am in any hardship. You are the one that I invoke, and I am now here, and whatever is your wish. So we are prepared and ready to just accept your will and your wish. And Imam alayhi salatu wasalam made that dua. After that, when both sides are ready, armies are now standing there and duties are given them, it looks like that time is passing, but no army is coming forward to attack. Imam alayhi salatu wasalam doesn't want to be the initiator of war. This was against his policy. Imam is not here to wage the war. Imam didn't come to Iraq to fight or to get into the war, and Imam didn't come in Karbala to fight or to get into the war. Imam was asked earlier at several occasions that this is better time for us to fight, because now they are not that huge in numbers and we can deal with them right now. They are small in number, we can fight them better. Later on, every day new and new and new and new, more and more and more forces will come. It will become difficult, and give us the permission to just go now. Imam said, no, I am not here to fight. I don't want to initiate, I don't want to start. So Imam doesn't want his people to attack. On other side, they were also waiting that if it starts from this side, then later on they will not have any blame. They know they will be always called guilty. They know that when they will fight against Imam Hussein, it will be a shame. And this shame will remain in their generations until the day of judgment. So they want some defense. And they want to see that if the attack is initiated from his side, then we can say that we were attacked and we defended. So then what else we could do? Because he attacked or his army is attacked, so we just were there to defend. Imam alayhi salatu wasalam is refraining. They are also looking for some defense, and since there is no activity going on, so the sun is going up and up and up. Seems like, again, we don't have those kind of reports written in the books, but if you sit, calculate, think, it looks like it was almost kind of 9 o'clock. And in Karbala, in a desert, armies are standing out and it is now getting hot and nothing is happening. So in that situation, Imam alayhi salatu wasalam asked for a she-camel, which was his sawari, his ride. Imam at that day had put the imama of his grandfather on his head and the abba of his grandfather, and the libas, the qamis of also his grandfather. He was in the libas of his grandfather, sat down on that camel, and then made the camel stand up. And then Imam said, "Let me advise you, because you are still the ummah of my grandfather, and you have some right upon me. Before you put your hands in this crime and commit a crime which is very severe in nature, I want to do some nasihat to you, and I want to talk to you." Again, I don't have time, but the nature of that khutbah was that Imam told them that, why are you after me? Why are you want to kill me? Did I kill any one of you? Did I commit any crime that you want to come and kill me? And then Imam alayhi salatu wasalam told them that what kind of crime you are going to commit, and what a shame it will be on for you and your generations to come and for everyone, and adhab of akhirat. If you don't like me, you invited me and that's why I am here. You don't want me, I can go somewhere else. But don't commit this crime against me. That was a kind of itmam hujjat. They said, when Imam was speaking, Imam did his best, but then they started kind of yelling, screaming, creating some kind of noise, so that Imam stopped his khutbah, and Imam made his she-camel sit down. And then it seems that there is again some pause, and in between some companions of Imam, they went ahead and they called upon some of their old friends or neighbors or people, because all of them were from Kufa. They knew each other. They called them and they said, "Why are you here and what you want to do? You don't know who he is. And this is a severe crime." So they would do something, and again they would start yelling and screaming. So according to the narrations of some of these very notable ulama, Imam alayhi salatu wasalam delivered 3 khutbahs. 3 khutbahs on the day of Ashura. Again, riding on the she-camel, speaking to them, and then introducing himself. "Do you know who I am? Do you know who I am?" And then Imam would introduce himself, and then Imam would say all those ahadith of Prophet which Prophet had said about him, and about his father and mother and family and everything. And then Imam alayhi salatu wasalam would tell them that this is a crime and a severe crime, and don't go ahead with this. So Imam alayhi salatu wasalam gave those kind of 3 khutbahs. After his 3rd khutbah, what happened? Zuhair bin Qayn, who was just a new one in the camp of Ali Muhammad. Previously, he was one of the supporters of the current governments. He was known as Osmani, not Alawi. And in this travel from Mecca to Iraq, at one point Imam called him, and then he came to see Imam, and you have heard the story. So Zuhair joined Imam. Zuhair, feeling that I was one of them just until few days ago, and we were friends, so he goes closer to them, and he spoke to them, and he said, I was one of you folks at one point. But I realized we were wrong. These are the right people. These are the family of Prophet. They are innocent people, and they didn't come here at their own. You had invited them and they came. These are all hundreds and hundreds of letters here. And why are you doing this? Zuhair bin Khan, again, while he was speaking to them, at the end people started again responding to him, yelling, screaming, oh, you were one of us. Why did you change? Why did you go there? You were supposed to be with us. All those kind of things. Imam called Zuhair back. Imam said, Zuhair, you have done your job. You have done excellent. If they have not listened me and not listened to you so far, so don't waste your time. You have done your job. Thank you very much. Come back. Zuhair came back. Hur, at that time, he had joined just a few minutes ago. After listening 3 khutbas of Imam, actually when Imam gave those 3 khutbas on the day of Ashur, then Hur went to Umar Asad. And he said, Umar Asad, are still you are going to fight with Imam Hussain? And Umar Asad said, yes, I will fight. And this is going to be a fight where heads will be chopped and the shoulders will be cut and the this and that. And he made a very strong kind of statement. Hur said, but haven't you listened to his speech? Meaning he has made so many good offers. He is a man of peace. He is a graceful man. He is a member of family of Prophet, and he made some very good offers. And don't you think that any of those offers was good to take and to not fight? At that time they say that Umar Asad looked down just with embarrassment, and he says, if it was me, definitely I would take one of those offers and I would not find. But your Amir, mean Ibn Ziyad, is not willing to. This is when people are weak inside and they cannot stand with a decision. They will say that if it was me, I would do this, but my group, my party, my board, my friends, my family, they are not willing to accept it. So Hur even found out that even Umar Asad cannot defend his own position, what he wants to do. So this was the point when Hur had left the company of this Ibn Ziyad and Umar Asad and joined Imam alayhi salatu wasalam. The detailed story you have listened in the majalis, and I have no time. But then Hur realized that since he just came from that side and he was one of the commanders, so Hur goes back, rides on his horse. He speaks to them. He says, I was one of them. I was one of you. I was the one who had stopped Hussain. And I was the one who brought him here. But I was hoping that eventually what you common sense will prevail. And there won't be that kind of bloodshed. And Hussain has made so many good offers. He is a peace-loving man. He is a graceful man. And that's why I left this Umar Asad and this army and I came on this side. Why? What is stopping you guys to leave that camp and come here on this side? So he made a very effective appeal. And Hur was a commander and he was speaking from his heart. very emotional speech. That was the last thing that Umar Saad realized, that now if he doesn't start the war, maybe this speech of Hur can take a few more people from this side and they go to the other side. Maybe these commanders, maybe these soldiers, they listen to the speech of Hur and they change their mind. So immediately after listening this speech of Hur, Umar Saad calls his Alamdar, who was his slave by the name of Wuraid. He calls him, he said, come here and bring your alam to me. So he called him, and then he called upon all his soldiers. He said, everyone bear the witness. The first arrow in this war is going to be thrown by me. I am the first one. I am the one that who is initiating, and I am the one who is throwing the first arrow to the company and to the party of Hussein. So this is how Umar Saad, he threw the first arrow. He shot the first arrow, and when he shot the first arrow, there were thousands and thousands of people that who had these arrows, and they had this tir kaman. So then thousands and thousands and thousands of these arrows were shot against the companions of Imam alayhi salatu wassalam. So this is how war broke, war started, and it was initiated by Umar Saad. Now time is up. I wanted to get into some point, but meaning we just came to this point how it was started. It was started, let's say, around 10 o'clock, little before, little after, and you can understand the intensity of war, that before Dhuhr prayer, approximately 50 of the companions of Imam Hussein were already martyred. 50 of those companions of Imam alayhi salatu wasalam were martyred before Dhuhr. War started at 9:30 or 10 o'clock or little less or little more. Before Dhuhr, 50 of them, and most of them were martyred in, Arabs had two kind of war. One was Mubaraza, when one-on-one, and the other one was when a group or the entire army would get together and go and attack. So they had made three collective attacks. 3 times they came as the big number of soldiers, and they waged the attack on the camp of Imam, on the companions of Imam. And in those 3 big attacks which they made against the companions of Imam, a little more than 50 or around 50 people were martyred. That made Abu Samama Saidawi to come to Imam and said, Maula, most of my friends and most of my companions have given their lives and they have become shaheed, and here are now, we are very few of us, we are left, and here is the time of Dhuhr coming in, and I want to have this honor of having one in the last prayer with you, behind you, before I get killed. Imam alayhi salatu wasalam looked and he said, yes, Abu Samama, you reminded about the prayer. May Allah raise you at the day of judgment among those who established the prayer. Yes, the time of Dhuhr is entering. Imam asked them that go and ask them if they can stop this war for a little while so we can pray. Habib ibn Mudahir, as a senior man with gray hairs, companion of Prophet, a known leader from the Kufa, a very known dignitary, he goes and he proposes this, that for a little while, can we stop this war so we can pray? A wicked man by the name of Hasin ibn Namir, he says, why does Hussein has to pray while his prayer is not accepted? He is a rebellious individual. He is Kharij from Islam. He is Khariji. He is not Mu'min anymore. His prayer is not accepted. So this statement made Habib ibn Muzahir to lose the patience, and he responded him back in the same words, similar words, and then finally they got fighting with one another, and the man who went to seek the permission for prayer, he got shaheed just in that process. Habib ibn Muzahir was martyred in this process of seeking the permission for the prayer. Imam alayhi salatu wasalam, when he saw that they are not allowing, he said, this is the time of Dhuhr, so let us all pray together. They started, Imam alayhi salatu wasalam stood in front, the companions, these were about 20-25 people or little less or little more, mostly Ahlul Bayt, a few companions. Now they wanted to pray, and here they start the prayer, and all of a sudden Imam sees two of his companions, Zuhair ibn Qayn and Sa'id bin Abdullah Hanafi. They leave their row and come and stand in the front of him, because enemy was still throwing stones and throwing stuff. So they said, Mawla, you continue your prayer. We will stand here in front of you, and anything which will come, we will take on our body, and you finish your prayer. Imam alayhi salatu wasalam was praying. Zuhair and Sa'id were standing in front, taking everything on themselves. When Imam finished this prayer, Imam saw Sa'id bin Abdullah is on ground. Imam rushed and put the head of Sa'id bin Abdullah in his lap, and Sa'id bin Abdullah, who was just leaving this world, looked at Imam and he said, Mawla, hal wafaitu? Mawla, did I fulfill my pledge to you? Mawla, was I loyal companion for you? And Imam said, yes, my friend, my companion, my brother, you have been very loyal. You have been very loyal to me, and I promise you that today, as you were standing here in front of me, when I was praying, when I will enter in the paradise, I will ask you to walk in front of me, and you will enter in the paradise before I enter in the paradise. And just by saying that, Imam alayhi salatu wasalam said, Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. And this is how Sa'id bin Abdullah bin Hanafi, he died. And then Imam alayhi salatu wasalam and his companions had finished the prayer, and then starts this war again from that time of Dhuhr, and it didn't reach to all the time until Asr. That little bit, inshallah, if I will get chance, maybe next time. But it was a day of full of events, my brothers and sisters. Normally in Arab communities, on the day of Ashura, when they recite Maqtal, it is 2 or 3 hours that it takes that they recite this whole story of Maqtal. In our communities, this is not the custom. We normally take 10 or 15 minutes and few lines from here and there, and then we get it done. But inshallah, sometime I will try to recite this whole Maqtal, the whole event from early morning until Asr, and then until Shami Ghariba. So, and then we will record it, inshallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq. Recite a salawat. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحليم الكريم غافر الذنب وقابل التوب وهو الغفور الرحيم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد وعلى أمير المؤمنين وإمام المتقين علي بن أبي طالب اللهم صل على محمد وعلى سيدة نساء العالمين فاطمة الزهراء وعلى الحسن والحسين سيدي شباب أهل الجنة وعلى علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي اللهم صل على مولانا صاحب العصر والزمان وعلى آبائه الكرام ما اتصل الليالي والأيام أما بعد فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون